What's cracking, G's? That's G's as in gamer, that is. Today I'm going to do a video game commentary, and I want to talk about something I see going on YouTube. And it's to the point where I feel like I should address it because, you know, if you follow me on YouTube, subscriptions, and if you follow me on Twitter, then you know that I speak to a lot of other YouTubers, and I speak to some of my viewers on there, and I speak to just people in general, and I have a little decent following going on, you know. I would say a little bit decent. I ain't gonna say I'm Hollywood and act like I'm big-headed or like I made it or none of that. My life is still the same. So anyway, let's get to the topic. The topic at hand is all of this exposure and gangster shit that I see going on. Now, I decided to bring a series to my channel where I'm going to talk about some of the things I experienced growing up and what would be considered a rough or poor neighborhood or bad neighborhoods. I wouldn't say poor because you had a lot of people with money here as well. They say it's a poor neighborhood, but it really wasn't when people drop Maseratis and shit. But anyway, I digress. Now let me get to the topic. I see some YouTubers, and I'm not going to say names because then it's going to seem like I'm doing this to make a B video or to get at somebody, but you'll be able to figure out some of the YouTubers I'm talking about by the descriptions I give of things. I see these YouTubers and they're, some of them are gangbanging and they say they play video games. Some of them are pretending like, or I shouldn't say pretending because that's me speculating that they're not. Some of them are giving off the impression that they're from the streets. Some of these people are even from the same borough as me. Now, I'm not going to make myself the authority on the streets and none of that on YouTube because honestly, that's really corny. And if you grew up in the 80s and you're an 80s baby, I think you're a little too old for shit like that, me included. Now, what I am going to say, however, is a lot of these dudes are claiming that they're some kind of, you know, street dude and they're real and they're doing this and they're doing that. And I shoot music videos and I grew up in a gang, and it was not by choice. It was because it was the area I grew up in, and it was either you were going to be a part of the gang or have the gang do things to you. And I'm not a punk or nothing like that, so of course I'm not gonna let people do things to me. So eventually, when you start beating up people who are in gangs and you start beating up the so-called tough guys, the other people start to look up to you and you kind of become a part of the fold. And it got to a point where other people were coming to me because they were having problems with people, and I would like make the peace and keep the peace, and if nobody listened, I was fucking them up. Okay, so it kind of got to a point where I became a form of leader of a sort because I was the one who was resolving a lot of problems for people from the street. And I went to school and I was smart because my father and my mother made sure I went to school. Now, I'm not gonna say I was a genius or nothing like that, but I did take up a lot of classes that people were intimidated by, and I felt like by going to school, even though some of my friends who were in gangs who I was a part of made fun of me, it was a way for me to get away from the constant gang activity and being around all that street shit 24/7. And it actually gave me a balance because if you from the streets, I feel where you coming from and I get you. And I could spot a fraud and a fake very easily. And I'm saying that to say that there's a lot of that on YouTube. There's a lot of people on YouTube who are claiming that they're gangsters and gangbangers and things of that nature. And just because you know gangsters and you hang out with them don't make you one. Now, me on the other hand, I hung out with Chaz Williams. You know, he was the second group I dealt with in the music business. And if you know who he is, he's from Black Hand. He's done American Gangster. He was known for bank robberies and stuff like that. A real legend in my neighborhood, in my city, in my town. Now, I know a lot of people from the music business, and I know a lot of people from the street life, and it's particularly in Brooklyn, particularly in New York, now, and Jersey, now, and Connecticut. Well, in fact, let me not just get into the city boroughs. I know a lot of people, period, all over the world, because I see a lot of people on YouTube, you know, trying to glorify that and live that life. And I just wanted to let you kids know that don't be believing these YouTubers, man. If you know any YouTubers that's getting on here and are trying to glorify the street life or the gang life, then they're probably fakes and frauds. And if you want to know anything about that, just ask me. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm not gonna glorify. Go to school, get your education, man. Get those master's degrees, because the same people who was making fun of me, now they gotta pay me to do their websites, their graphic designs, their YouTube channels, their videos, everything. Because while I was in school getting my lessons, they was outside smoking pot, hanging out. You know, I did all the hanging out and the gang banging. It was, unfortunately, I did contribute to that lifestyle, but I really didn't have a choice because people was coming to me trying to rob me, and you ain't gonna rob me. So you know how that altercation is gonna go. It's gonna be a fight, and there was always a lot of fighting. There was a lot of shooting and stabbing. You know, I don't want to get into details I don't want to incriminate myself in no kind of way, but the bottom line is a lot of violence happened and a lot of bad things went on. I'm not proud of it. I do not glorify it, and I want you kids to know that do not listen to these people that are glorifying that on the internet, because if they're glorifying that, they're either lying, wish they did it, or they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, or better yet, they were very, very fucking lucky to be standing here just like I am. You know, I've been in a lot of situations where I'm very lucky to be talking to you right now. Now, that's the reason I made this video. Ain't no jokes, ain't no complaining. It's just some real nigga shit. It's some RNS, straight to the point. You know, this is my new series I started. I decided to do this video game commentary because I see a lot of that on the internet and it's very fucking disgusting. So kids, please believe me, this is coming from me, man. I'll prove whatever I gotta prove to you to let you know that I got plenty of street cred and it ain't nothing cool about that shit. Go to school, get your education, you know, and don't listen to those motherfuckers. If they telling you anything other than that, then they definitely a fraud. This is Jimmy B Gaming, and I'm out. Y'all be good, man.